Hi, I'm Larry Nimmer and welcome to DaArt. Today we're going to the Santa Barbara Open Studios tour. Let's see what studio we go to, randomly found by the Dart. Okay, the closest studio is actually number 1. Okay, number 1 is Karen Aguilera, acrylic on canvas, abstract expressions of landscapes, moods, and memories in vibrant colors.
So I just like it when you make your own interpretation or relationship with the painting.
Well, hello there.
Oh, hi.
Hi, and you are?
I'm Karen Agler. Come around this way is, there's some more paintings in the living room here.
Can you tell me about this picture here?
Okay. When I came back from Hawaii, then I painted this painting. That to me was the colors of the orchids that I saw and the ocean. I just paint in this abstract way, expressing my feelings and emotions.
And if it could talk, what would this painting say?
That would say, I'm very happy.
What artist inspired you?
Richard Diebenkorn is one of the artists.
The American artist Richard Diebenkorn was best known for his abstract expressionist Ocean Park series, inspired by his surroundings in Santa Monica and featuring tranquil, geometric shapes. It was quite a contrast to the turbulent news of the day featuring Vietnam War protests. You can see his influence on Karen's work when you compare their shared inspiration from landscapes and color schemes. I guess I like Diebenkorn, but I think I prefer Karen Aguilera's paintings.
I do abstract paintings on canvas with acrylics.
Karen told me that before painting, she had been doing ceramics for 23 years.
Oh, this little one over here is mine.
What made you switch from ceramics to abstract art?
She didn't want to say on camera the unfortunate set of circumstances that denied her access to her pottery studio. But ever the optimist, she appreciates the advantages to painting.
Painting is easier on my body than ceramics.
Now I'm going to have you spin a pen, and wherever it points, I'm going to have you tell me about it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, it's pointing right at that chair. Tell me about it. It's a beautiful chair.
It is. It's quite old. This is an old chair that belonged to my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was a very gracious woman.
Do you have a philosophy of life?
Make a difference whenever you can.
Karen, are you ready to throw a dart to determine the next studio? Go for it. Go for it. Okay, what number is it?
That is number 3.
Okay, what's number 3?
Number 3 is Danuta Bennett, representational painting, drawings, and photograph of architecture, cityscapes, and landscapes.
What's your question for Danuta?
Oh, let Danuta tell you about her background.
Well, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So there are different types, and I don't know what part of Poland your family is from.
Hello there.
Hi.
And you are?
Danuta Bennett. Welcome in my studio.
Thank you. I'll let you go back.
Well, I do mostly architectural inspired drawings and paintings. I look at them as something that is alive and it's telling the story. What would the building say if it could speak?
Well, for example, this, you can stay where you are, but that painting there,
Yeah.
What type of things might it say about being alive?
Well, sometimes the structure needs to be dissolved to give a place for something new. And originally I painted detailed like every other piece that I do. But because where I was, because what this building kind of, how this building influenced me at that moment, I started kind of removing the structural elements from the side, from the balcony, and it was kind of like the building is deconstructed.
Wow.
And I think that's really important because I think it's kind of like in our life that we need to deconstruct stuff. We need to allow the things to dissolve in order to make a space for something new.
It got me to wondering, what new things does she need in her life? And it was timely to ask Karen Aguilar's question about Danuta's past.
Karen Aguilar asked me to ask you, what's your background?
Well, I'm originally from Poland. I grew up during the communist times, and that was kind of difficult. So when I was choosing the choice between going to art school or doing something else, I was kind of discouraged because the options at that time, if I finish even art school, was to do communistic posters. That's what the artists did to survive.
Communist propaganda machines used mass-produced posters to influence the public's behavior and attitudes. The challenge for the poster artist was to draw upon the viewer's hidden store of associations to be receptive to the message. The style has been called suprematism, as it celebrated supremacy of geometry over reality. Often the messages were lies or distortion of facts, using the principle that if a lie is repeated over and over, it becomes true over time. In Poland, Danuta dabbled in art and graphic design, but she ended up becoming a scientist. When she immigrated to the United States, she did less work as a scientist and over time became a full-time artist. I asked one of the studio visitors her impression of Danuta's work.
What do you think about Danuta's work?
I love her work. It just has a mood about it. There's kind of a feeling of heritage about it and culture.
Indeed, you can see the influence of centuries of art and design. But I was surprised to see something else in her studio quite different from the monochromatic architecture work she does. I asked her about the colorful eggs she created.
They're called pisanki. There's traditional Eastern European way of coloring eggs.
To make a pisanki egg, a special tool dipped in hot wax is used to draw the patterns. Then the eggs are dipped in dyes. The craft started as a pagan tradition, but was adopted later by Christians to symbolize rebirth. Is it nice to do colorful things after doing a lot of monochromatic stuff?
It actually kind of makes the soul sing.
Is the monochromatic look kind of a throwback to Poland in communist times?
You know, I never thought about this that way, but you might be right. What I remember about this time was gray.
Do you have a philosophy of life?
Yes, I actually wrote there on my sign over there, create your own myth.
Create your own myth. They are Rumi the poet's words, and I agree with Danuta, they're still very relevant today. I can also see how Danuta likes to deconstruct architecture. In fact, she may be deconstructing her life too. She told me off camera she's going through a significant life change, and perhaps a rebirth of her own. I wondered if that was reflected in a new piece she's working on.
What is she doing?
She's basically unbonding herself from the structure of the wall. She's removing her clothing. It's becoming more and more real, less and less structural, and she is becoming a real person.
So ready to randomly spin the brush?
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh. I see the brush is pointing at your tools. Tell me about your tools.
Yeah, that it's a lot of people ask about because
What's here?
this is actually test tubes. Test tubes for, from my scientific background.
Okay, are you ready to throw the dart now?
I will do my best. Okay, this is gonna be,
Oh, what's it closest to?
This is number 17. And Steven Robick. Steven Robick photographs looks like paintings as a result of their presentations and natural-based subject.
Can you ask a question of him? What would you like to ask of him?
What makes his photographs so different than any other photographer in town?
Luminance and color values for every pixel in the sensor, the digital camera sensor.